We are live. Okay, what is good, everybody? Welcome back to the New Millennium Falcons podcast. I'm your host today, Hunter Thompson, and we are joined by the one and only Grits Blitz. What's good,
What's
Kenny? How are
good?
you doing?
Great, bro. Great. We got camp just about a week away, man. I'm ready, bro. I'm ready. I'm sick of waiting around, rehashing the same old storylines, looking at the same things. I'm ready for new content. I'm ready to see what's good on the field. Ready for Raheem to get these boys going and kick off the 2024 season.
Oh yeah, it's going to be an awesome season. Do you got any thoughts, about anything up to this offseason? We haven't had you on in a minute, so quick maybe elevator thoughts.
Nothing that hasn't been said by you guys, man. You guys have done a good job covering everything. Like I said, I'm just ready for things to get started, bro. We have Raheem coming in. I'm most excited for Zach Robinson in the offense, man. I'm legitimately excited to see what he's got in store. You know, these McVay disciples have been successful for the most part. And I'm ready to see a real professional modern offense.
Oh yeah, I'm excited because the McVay stuff did wonders last year with just unique looks in the run game versus what we did, and so I'm really excited to see how it all kind of plays together with a new QB, and how our guys will plug into those McVay offensive-esque roles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm ready for 11 personnel, brother. I'm ready. Bring me back to the modern day offense.
Oh, you don't want the 13 personnel?
You know, it was fun for a little bit there, but nah, I'm over it. I'm over. Sorry about the heavies. Let's go. Let's get some speed out there. Let's make some plays. Let's get downfield.
Fair enough. How do you think Kyle Pitts is going to be used? Do you think he's going to be more of a receiver or inline tight end or kind of a both?
Well,
I saw them tweet about it, or someone tweet about it the other day with him learning both positions.
Yeah, and once I saw that, I was like, all right, this isn't anything new. Let me go check the numbers before I open my mouth and say something on Twitter to make sure I'm right. And yeah, 77% of his snaps last year were out wide or in the slot, man. This is nothing new as far as his usage goes. I'm hoping he plays a little more tight end so we can dictate the matchups a little more, man. I don't need to see him going against these corners all day long. I mean, he can get his dubs out there, but for me, I want to see less of Pitts as a deep threat and more of him as an intermediate guy, more of him as a yards after catch threat. I want to scheme him up easy touches, and let's get his career back on track, man. I think he's been done a little bit of a disservice.
He has. I can only watch him run the vertical on a dagger so many times before wanting to just cry.
And I kind of get it was by necessity because this offense has lacked speed for the last few years, but that's not a problem anymore, man. That's not Rondale can take the top off. Ray McLeod is fast in his own right. We have the guys that can complement Pitts better than we did before now, so I'm excited to see how he's used.
You just forgot my favorite downfield threat that we have, and that's
Scotty Miller's gone, bro.
Darnell Mooney.
No. You're right. My bad. I'm excited for Darnell. I've always been pretty high on him, and it didn't work out in Chicago, but I do think he provides that speed threat we need along with the other complementary guys.
When I saw the thing that it was an advanced stat about him being one of the most winning receivers on downfield one-on-one routes, I was like, yeah, that guy's about to have a season with Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
Provided Kirk's Achilles holds up and he can still, heave it downfield.
Yeah, hope so, man. I'm pretty confident. Kirk, he treats his body like a temple. I feel like if anyone's putting in the work to make it through the season, it's Kirk Cousins. What you said, though, you made a point early in the offseason that his plant foot is the one that popped. So little concerned about that, but I'm more on the optimistic side as far as Kirk's health goes.
I do think, in terms of veteran quarterbacks, he's always been one that's seemed to take care of his body. Very, very unlike, some of the other guys that have been in his age group era. But I think he's going to be able to survive well. Plus, he never really had that many issues before the Achilles injury.
Yeah.
So he's got that going for him, which is a plus.
Yeah. Kirk and Aaron Rodgers are going to give us a lot of good data points about quarterbacks and Achilles injuries this year.
Zach Robinson's little PFF boy self is going to get a kick out of all of this year.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like how much he went into the whole PFF QB grading system, like in terms of like founding it essentially.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, man. I got to be honest. I like that he's a guy that is familiar with the analytics to go behind the game rather than someone coming in and, hit the man in front of you. Like I like the background that he's bringing to the role.
I think there's a level of blending analytics with like the whole old school approach of just hit the guy, like
Yep.
Simple X's and O's football. And I like that the OC is the one that's playing the analytics role.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think we'll see some stuff that's like questionable at times, but it's going to be at least like there's going to be evidence to back that up.
Yeah, and me personally, I've always been heavier on analytics than most. Not that it's the most important thing, but it's definitely a valuable tool, and I think the proof's in the pudding as far as that goes.
No, that makes sense. That's for sure. Okay, so I finally just opened up this thing that Savion made us and Trey made us for our little schedule. I completely forgot to do the opening question, and that's the college football 25 question, Kenny. So you were saying earlier you have not played yet.
Not yet. Got the deluxe edition. It's on the PlayStation. Haven't had the time to boot it up yet, man. It's killing me. Putting a little $30 hole in my wallet, but it is what it is.
Brother, I got that question though. Who's going to be your first dynasty team?
All right, so I'm going to go with the Rainbow Warriors, bro. I'm going with Hawaii, man. I'm excited about that.
Okay.
I embrace the challenge of building a program. And you know what? I'm going to do it for the best quarterback aesthetic of all time. RIP the boy, Colt Brennan. Whoever's slinging the rock for me, going to have that visor, going to have the mirror visor on. We're airing it out June Jones style. I'm telling you, I'm bringing excitement from the islands over to the States. We're making the playoffs. We're winning that title. We're building the dynasty, bro.
Dude, that's what I like to hear. That is what I like to hear.
Coastal Carolina's tempting too because of the teal field. I could get down with that home field.
At that point, just give me Boise. Give me the blue.
Yeah. But I feel like you give me Ashton Genty. I feel like I'm cheating, bro. I want to start lower than that.
That's fair. That's fair. Boise is a sleeper this year.
Yeah,
they might be the best G5 team, or they have the shot to be the best like G5 team this year.
They got a good team, man. I'm excited for them.
They do. I'm stoked. I'm probably going to start a Kennesaw State dynasty whenever I get the game.
I was thinking of doing Kennesaw in honor of you, bro. Hunter Thompson is the head coach, OC, whatever you want it to be. But I feel like you got them covered.
Dude, it's going to be fun. I've got some exciting things in the works for whenever I get to that. So it could be fun. Might stream a little bit or something. Who knows? Cool. So I was going to ask this other question, but it's just two of us and neither of us. You haven't played yet. I don't have the game. So the question of who's going to get fired, it's not really going to come into effect. All right. On to the actual schedule now. Dude, you said it earlier. Training camp right around the corner, right? We've got some big battles to watch. What's the biggest one you've got your eyes on right now?
So I think the biggest battle is cornerback 2. I feel like most people would agree with it. Who's going to line up opposite AJ Terrell? That's going to be huge, and it's wide open as far as I'm concerned. Anybody, the job's there for the taking. Whoever performs best is going to win it. Good old-fashioned training camp competition. May the best man win. But that competition at cornerback 2 extends the entire secondary as well. I'm not sure who's going to play nickel. I'm not sure who's going to be Jesse Bates' running mate. There's so much competition in the secondary this year, and I think things might get a little crazy, man. You might see some names emerge that we weren't expecting.
Okay. Because I know in my head who my penciled in CB2 starter would be if I had to create my starting lineup right now. Who would you pencil in as your CB2 right now? Well, actually, give me your entire secondary. Who is your 2 starting corners, starting safeties, and a nickel? If you had to pencil them in this very moment. I can go first if you want me to.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm kicking it off first. Obviously, AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates. That's just kind of the –
yeah, we ain't even got to talk about those guys.
There's no
Lock
sense.
it in.
My CB2, I'm playing Clark out wide. Yes, he's a little undersized and a little frail. Not frail, but just small.
Yeah.
I think he has that dog in him, and I think there were moments last year where he flashed enough where it's like, okay, give the kid a shot. Let's see what he's got. I think sitting in the zone might be able to actually play to his strengths a little bit.
Absolutely.
Let him play a little twitchy. I don't think we're going to run as much man this year, so that's going to be a plus. In the nickel, I'm starting D. Alford. I'm a big fan. I think he just brings a sense of swagger that we don't have the minute he steps on the field. Versatile player, can do a lot, and I just think it'll work out well enough to not stress me out. And then safety, I'm playing Richie next to Jesse because I just can't bring myself to give up on him yet. Because physically, he's a little small, but like he's athletic, he's fast, he's not afraid to go down in the hole and hit people. He's not afraid in coverage at all. He's just not very good in coverage. But I'm hoping guys like Jimmy Lake, Raheem, and Jerry Gray can kind of just get
the best out of him.
Because I feel like they think that too, considering you didn't touch the safety position at all this season.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that right now. That's what I'm penciling in.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that's the preferred outcome as well. You know, get the younger guys out there, hope they grow into solid pieces, and the other guys around them can shoulder enough of the load where they'll be put in a winning position. For me,
yeah, man, what you got?
So I just have this. The scenario you put out there is what I want to happen. That being said, I think this staff is way higher on Mike Hughes than the rest of us, man.
That's yeah.
I think that he's got. I think him and Clark have the inside track to that cornerback 2 job.
I think Kevin King's my sleeper for CB2.
Okay, my sleeper is Antonio Hamilton, bro.
Ooh,
believe it or not.
Okay, I don't hate that.
He graded out very well in limited snaps for Arizona last year.
Yeah.
I mean, according to PFF, he had a nice 69.1 coverage grade on the season, which is on the, if you're not familiar with PFF grading system, that's very good. That's good. That's a solid year. And Terry has never shied away from adding journeyman cornerback 2s to kind of fill the role for the season and kind of see how things go, which isn't an approach I agree with. But, I mean, it just goes to show that he can win the competition, man. You know, he's a veteran and he has experience that Phillips and D. Alford don't on the outside. And if he can just play better than Mike Hughes, I don't really see anything holding him back from winning that job. As far as Phillips goes, I think it's him and Alford competing for snaps on the inside. We'll see what happens. I think D. Alford has been a better player so far. I think that he's a bit underrated. The problem with those guys is they both have the size concerns, man. So they're kind of limited in any other role. You know, I would love D. Alford to play outside and win because I think he might just be the most talented of the bunch. But like I said, he's limited, man. I have a hard time seeing him hold on to that job.
I wouldn't be shocked if D gets a few looks at safety because I want to say I read somewhere about that earlier.
Yeah, that was going around earlier in the offseason that he'd get some looks there.
I could see that. Like, of any of those, like, where do you play him, guys? I feel like D makes the most sense to try in a kind of a new.
The problem is I feel like we're going to be in a lot of cover 3 this season, and I want Jesse as that single high more than anyone else. So I feel like he'd be taking away from what Jesse does best by putting D. Alford in there because, I mean, maybe he could play up closer to the box, you know, but I think that, like I said, he's limited due to size. So they might feel more comfortable having Richie out there. DeMarco Helms is the best for that particular role. His game isn't as well-rounded as Richie Grant. Shocker to say that, but
I mean, I like DeMarco. There's some concerns that I have. I think he's a great like backup safety.
Yeah.
Will be a great specs player for us. Like, he's a 7th round pick or 6th round pick, whatever he was.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there can be expectations, but like there has to be like a level of like realism with those expectations.
Yeah, and that's nothing against him. I think he's already outplayed his draft capital just based on the limited things he did last year. You know,
Oh
not
yeah,
a lot of seventh round picks get the amount of snaps he did.
No, he's a stopgap safety, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like him being like the guy to plug in.
Yeah, and maybe there's room for more. You know, you never know, but I don't think we can count on that.
No, not at all. Like it's one of those things where it's now like, okay, you have Helms, and it's like, okay, if Richie sucks by week, like if Richie's just sucking ass by week 3, you play DeMarco Helms, and it's like, all right, well, we have a Band-Aid on it. Let's get through the season, and we can reassess. And it's Helms' job to lose going into next season. You know, like there's plenty of ways to go about it, but it's like, I think you just got to swing the upside of Richie right off the bat. And I hate saying that because Richie's given me nothing to be
optimistic. Yeah, it's been tough, man. I know we were both real high on him when we took him, but it hasn't been pretty as a whole. But I think this conversation just goes to show that the competition across the secondaries is wide open as it looks like on paper, man.
Oh, it's insane. Mm-hmm. Next on the list that we had written down, who do you have at the outside winning the outside backer jobs?
I don't think there's much of competition there, if I'm going to be honest with you, man.
You don't think
it's going to be Lorenzo Carter. I think it's going to be Arnold Ebiketie. I think they're going to take the majority of the snaps. I think it'll be a heavy rotation.
Okay.
I think we'll get Trice in there. And I think we'll get Smith Williams in there as well. A lot of people forget about that signing. I think he'll be a bigger part of the rotation than most expect. But, yeah, I think it's going to be those two guys and then rotating behind them. I think the entire defensive line is going to be one big rotation this year.
I wouldn't be shocked if, like, about halfway through the season, we see two guys kind of steal the outside backer jobs.
Yeah.
And kind of run with it. But I think like what you said, it's going to be a pretty early rotation. I'd like to see Caden Ellis kind of at that outside backer role a little bit, play some stuff. So that way we can kind of keep Troy and Landman on the field. Because I'm not the biggest fan of Landman. Like, I think he's a little overhyped when it's all said and done. But he is probably one of our best 11 defenders when it's all said and done. And he gives us just a guy who's going to step up and you know what you're getting out of him. Like, he's not a wild card. He's going to give you solid downhill ability, decent backer. Also, like, I don't know. It's not something I necessarily want to start, but, like, I'd rather play Caden Ellis. I'd rather see Nate Landman starting than see Lorenzo Carter starting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really agree with that personally because I think that we're going to be doing a lot of fire zones. I think we're going to be blitzing a lot. I mean, we got to generate pressure somehow, and we don't have the personnel to win with a 4-man rush. It is what it is at this point. It's no secret. So I think Lorenzo Carter, if there's one thing he's good at, he's pretty good in coverage, playing the hook zone, dropping out to the flat. I mean,
but I'll give you that.
So, and I would like to mix it up with Ellis on passing down specifically. I wouldn't mind him getting a look rushing the passer.
Okay.
But as far as our inside backers go, I want him and Troy to form some good chemistry and really, really take control of that defense because it's going to run through them, man. It's not being talked about a lot, but Troy Anderson's development is like paramount to this defense getting somewhere towards league average, which is probably the best we can hope for,
To go off that, I obviously I said Landman starting Mike with Troy, whatever. Whoever you start with Troy at the start of the season, it needs to be like paramount that that's the guy that you're going to play with Troy the entire season. Like you can't start Ellis weeks 1 to 4 and then be like, okay, we're not getting enough from Sam. Let's kick him to Sam. Play Landman weeks, 5 to 10. Be like, okay, well, crap. Now Landman's bad. Let's put Caden back there. Like it's going to throw Troy off. And like you said, I think Troy is the key to our defense being average. Like just the athleticism and physical ability that he brings from that position. It's like that guy has the potential to be special. I don't know if he's ever going to get to like the special tier, but physically speaking, he has every single trait that you want out of just an elite linebacker.
Yeah, the size speed profile, he can cover ground that other linebackers on this roster just simply can't, And I really hope that he's taken the mental rep seriously while sitting out most of the last year, because it's going to be a pretty big indictment on Terry if Troy ends up being a bust.
I like, especially with this whole new lighter box thing that we're seeing in the NFL.
Yeah.
And then teams doing all these mismatch looks to add more to the box after like pre-snap stuff. It's like you need a guy like Troy to be able to be just good. Like you need him to be able to do the things. You need him to be the dirty guy and the like scraping over. You need him filling. You need him to be like kind of like Rashaan Evans did that first year with Dean.
Yeah. And in addition to that, like if we were to give Ellis more pass rushing snaps, as you said earlier, we need him to be able to fill his zone. We need him to be able to occasionally run with tight ends, cover backers. If he's a mismatch out there, if he looks as uncomfortable as he did during sometimes as a rookie, it's trouble, bro. It's trouble. It's not going to be good.
No, it's not at all. It's gonna be tough. Is there any other big offseason battle that we've not talked about yet that you're excited to see?
Nose tackle.
Nose tackle. Okay.
I'm curious to see who can fill that role. As far as I'm concerned, it's a 3-man competition right now between Zion Logue, Laquelle London, and London and Eddie Goldman. Yeah. And the problem with Eddie Goldman is he hasn't played good football since 2019. So,
he hasn't played football in what, 3 seasons? 2 seasons?
He played briefly with Chicago, 21 or 20, I believe, but it wasn't a great. I think 19 he was good. 20 he missed due to I don't know why Eddie Goldman misses.
I think he opted out for COVID that year.
Yes, that's it. Yep.
Like a little in 21.
Yep.
And
then 21 he wasn't the same coming back. Then he signed with us, and haven't seen him since. But that's going to be the 3-man competition in nose tackle right there. So, you got any thoughts on who can emerge?
I hate that entire 3-man group you just said with a burning passion.
Look, Laquelle played some good football during times last year.
Laquelle London.
He did his job, yeah.
I think Laquelle London's going to earn a roster spot, and I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be a nice, versatile piece, but I don't want him starting. But then we also don't have other options.
It's just nose tackle. I know that's important in the scheme and everything, but I feel like it's really not gonna I feel like we're not gonna see a lot of snaps from one guy specifically anyways, but I'll be honest with you, I think I would rather see him in the run game than a couple of the other options as it stands right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if Eddie Goldman's even going to make it a day one of training.
I really don't either, man. I don't think they really believe that he's, they're not really doing anything to make him feel secure. It feels like they would have no issue pushing him off the roster if it comes down to it.
And I'm not mad at them for that,
No.
We got a comment from Wallace saying he thinks Goldman's going to make the roster. I mean, if Goldman wants to make the roster, I think
that should. That's exactly. Is he committed to the game of football?
Does Goldman?
If he is, I agree, Wallace. If he's committed to the game of football and he's still got that, he still wants to play, he still wants to go out there and push people around, he should make the roster.
I just I don't know, man. I there were so many good nose tackles or nose tackle-esque guys to in this draft class, and we walk out with Zion Logue, and I'm like,
yeah.
Damn.
Well, I mean, the real travesty is passing on Travis Jones years ago, but
gotta
move on at some point.
Dude, I can sit here and rant about all these Terry misses and pass on guys. Our boy Quinn Miners just got paid today. What is it, 4-year, $80 million?
Yep.
We passed on him for Jalen Mayfield. It's damn.
That's tough.
So catch me up to speed, fellas. What have I missed? It sounded like we're in the weeds of the nose tackle competition.
Trey, right off the rip, man, who's your starting secondary? That's kind of the big thing we were just talking about before.
Mm-hmm.
Starting secondary. Okay, so this will be what is this is just what the paper is going to say. I don't know if this is the formation they're going to run the most, if this is the personnel they're going to use the most, but this is what the paper will say. AJ Terrell, really going out there on that one. Jesse Bates. That was tough.
It's tough picks.
Strong safety is driving me crazy right now, man. This is where I'm like, I'm like, could it be Richie? I feel like they've talked about Richie quite a bit, but like Hellams, I don't know. He finished strong, but like, I don't really think he was as good as the conversation seems to be around his play last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really tough, but I'm going to say Hellams, I think, is going to be strong safety.
Okay.
And then opposite, we got Clark. And then Alford is your nickel.
Okay. That's where Hunt landed on the corners as well. We both pretty much think that Richie's going to roll out there and have
I think it's
an opportunity to prove himself.
I don't think this staff really cares. So like I think like they'll definitely give him the opportunity, but I think if all the DB guys get in there and like they just love Hellams and they're like, oh man, he's only in his second year, he's killing it. Like we want that to grow. We want to foster that. Richie's in his last year here. Are we really going to pay him? Or what's it really going to cost even if we do want to bring him back? So like that's kind of why I think Hellams has a legitimate track to like maybe really, impressing this staff, getting his way into the starting spot. But again, I could easily see it being Richie. And this is just what it would say on paper, because I think there's going to be a lot of things that Richie's going to need to do that Hellams can't necessarily do. But yeah, I could totally see it being Richie.
Let me ask you about this. I low-key think that Mike Hughes is going to trot out there as a starter again at cornerback too, with Antonio Hamilton as the sleeper there.
Yeah.
I think I swear the staff loves him, man. Jerry Gray loves him some Mike Hughes, bro.
Yeah.
King's my sleeper.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like it feels like CB2 is going to be such a matchup base kind of deal, If they push the clip, everyone loves to show of Clark, chasing Josh Downs down the field, nice, incomplete pass against the Colts there. I think when he can get those matchups on the outside, sure, it's going to be Clark. But I don't know, Kenny. I think you're right, and I don't want you to be right, which is why I didn't say it earlier. I'm not going to speak it into existence, but I'm terrified at how right you probably are.
We want it to be Clark, man. We all want it to be Clark, and we think he's going to get the shot.
I think it's going to be Clark's job. I think Clark is going to get first reps in these joint practices, and then it's going to go from there.
I don't want it to be Clark. I don't want it to be Mike. I want Clark to be my slot, who sometimes can go to the outside, and I want somebody else that we could have grabbed in this draft. I don't know. I wanted somebody else outside. This isn't really what I thought.
Clark Brother, that Quinion Mitchell piece I wrote would have slapped so hard. Oh, man. It is what it is.
Out there talking. Out there reminding everybody he's available for a year. I could do a year of Gilmore.
I would kill for a year of Gilmore.
Like, kidding me?
I'm not mad at it. We were talking about how Terry has never shied away from a journeyman cornerback too.
Yeah, well, Witherspoon's out there still, I believe, so as well. Everybody's been thinking it's like Akiko's going to be able to get on the roster.
But I'd be much more comfortable with that. He wasn't great with the Rams by any means, but he was competent. And I'll take competent all day long.
God,
EBs that haven't played football within the last year. One of them hasn't played football in like 2 years. I'm like, what? 2 of these?
Something else that me and Hunt discussed right before you hopped on. Who are your starters at outside backer?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a competition?
Yeah, I think they're gonna make Trice earn it. So I could see Trice becoming the starter maybe halfway through, but I think there's gonna be that classic, Rook's gotta earn it. So I think you'll see Carter out there and Ebbe Ketty.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think it's actually a competition this early.
Yeah.
Like you said, if Trice grabs it, it'll be after he earns it during the year. But I think it's going to be Carter and AK out there.
I think the only way it's going to be different is if Kate Nellis plays some Sam.
I mean, like I think it like situationally he will, but like, I think in base they probably want Carter out there for the run, but I guess it wouldn't be too shocking. It is going to be really interesting to see what they do with Caden because I've also feel like the same way in that he's going to be playing some of that outside, but I don't know how they're going to balance it all.
What do we think about King and Johnson at the CB2 spot?
Kevin King, that's let's hope that doesn't happen.
It's my sleeper pick for CB2.
I don't think it's terrible as a depth player, but I feel like if Kevin King winds up the starter out of all this, that's scary. Like, what does that say about Clark?
Yeah, he is probably the most familiar with Jimmy Lake out of any of our other corners. So maybe there's something there, but
yeah,
just based on what he's done lately, man, he's never lived up to that potential. And when he's out there, it's not like he's been playing good football. So I think he'll make the team, but I don't expect him to be starting. I think a lot will have to have gone wrong if Kevin King is cornerback 2 day 1.
That's fair. Okay.
And then Anthony Johnson, I think that's who the other person that's being asked about.
Yeah.
Anthony Johnson. So, yeah, I mean, it's not. He's our biggest corner now. Oh, actually, I think Kevin King's probably still taller, but big corner. I don't know. Interesting to see what he can do, but definitely don't have any expectations of starting for him.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not really familiar with Anthony Johnson's game. I'm not going to pretend like I am. It'd be a pleasant
I'm
surprise
like
if
he looks like he's tall.
Okay. On to the next side. I kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier. Joint practices against Miami, second year in a row. What we thinking? You think it's gonna be fun?
It's nice to know that they're seeing that kind of speed in camp because like you can't simulate that. Like it's just. I guess it's from one of those things where it's probably like I'm sure that is like you watch Tyreek, Achane, all of them waddle. The corners are going to be tested. Gonna see what you're made of in that practice with the one-on-ones. But it should be good joint practice.
I'm curious what Miami's defense and the kind of looks they give us this year. I mean, they were Fangio last year, but did they not hire the gentleman from Baltimore to be their new DC, Anthony Weaver?
Yeah, they took Anthony Weaver, I think, to be their new DC. So I wonder if it's going to be like Mike McDonald-esque looks with all the sim pressures and all that shit. That was very fun to watch last year and a nightmare for McVay offenses.
Yeah. Another thing that this doesn't really go towards personnel or anything, but I'm curious of what Zach Robinson can pick up from those joint practices together. I'm hoping he can pick the mind of McDaniel and maybe add a few wrinkles from his offense to ours now that we're kind of caught up to the modern era of football.
That's kind of what I was hoping. Mike does some cool like just run game concepts and wrinkles that McVay didn't really do per se. Like McVay's thing was like obviously he just does different stuff than just the zone, but like Mike McDaniel's put such fun wrinkles on the zone concepts where it's like I would love to see some of that implemented. And I would like to see Zach learn a lot too if Weaver is running a Mike McDonald-esque defense on how to attack that because of how good Mike McDonald's defense was against the entire Shanny and McVay tree last year.
Yeah, steal some of that orbit motion, man. We finally have the speed to make use of it.
Ray McLeod on an orbit?
I was thinking Rondale.
Ray Rondale, yeah.
Mooney. Don't want to forget him again. Mooney.
Drake London.
Yeah, I think that I didn't even think about that angle, but the offense is kind of just having those two minds. You guys are right. That'll be nice. I think we'll all be pleasantly surprised with the run game this year. I think we'll have a nice mix of concepts with Ledford sticking around and everything like that too. So it'll be interesting to see those.
Trey.
those, I'm trying to think, what was it? It was like we had I always love the reports of joint practice because, the whole season's on the line.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the first time competition. It's the first bit of competition that you even smell. And I can't. The Jets joint practices were probably one of some of the best live tweeting that you've ever seen. It's just peak Twitter, and you've got reporters. The Jets have driven down the field and scored a touchdown on 4 of their 5 drives. The Falcons have not even completed a pass today. It turns
Who's
out
the guy from Miami? Omar Kelly, I think it is.
Omar, yeah, it's Omar.
Yeah.
It'll
be fun.
Dude, him and D-Led together, it's peak cinema.
Well, it's going to be completely one-sided. It's going to be him and D-Led together. They're going to be shitting on the Falcons for hours.
That's why it's going to be pristine, man. Because you're going to see Will McFadden out here trying to counteract D-Led tweets, raise the morale a little bit, and just D-Led's going to be shitting on this team.
Yep.
Trey, I got a question. Me and Kenny were talking about this a little bit before. How do you think Drew Dahlman is going to hang up with some of these new run game concepts? Kenny brought this up, and I thought it was an excellent point. I was going to bring it up at some point, but you just kind of hinted at it. So,
it's going to be really interesting. Daniel Flick just pointed out, and nobody has been talking about it a ton, but he's in a contract year. And it's man, it's just really starting to add up quick, the amount of people that we have to pay. So I don't know. I think he'll be fine. I think for me, I'm just curious to see, what level of play is he going to be at? I think Dahlman's shown flashes of pretty good center play. I don't know if I'm ready to say he's maybe he's fringe top 10.
I feel like he's at least league average.
I could see people putting him in the edge, Yeah, but
15 center, and he's fine. I'm fine with that, of him being a top 15.
Yeah, but he could very easily have I'm what happens if he comes out this year and he's the 17th, 15th best center in the league? What does that do moving forward? Contract year, everything like that. I think he'll be solid enough to not be necessarily a problem, but I don't know if he's going to be a catalyst or somebody that we really feel like we can, lean on. We need him to be that guy, but it'll be interesting to see, especially with Kirk back there now, the mobility is going to be kind of limited again. So, Ritter did offer a little bit of that last year. He didn't always bail probably in the best way. But they're not really going to have that this year either. So it'll be interesting to see how he holds it up.
How do you feel about the idea of Dahlman running duo?
It's all matchup. It's a matchup based game, Kenny. So you know what? If Z-Rob makes a call, I'm sure it is against the right. I'm sure it's the right call.
That was more what I was getting at, was Dahlman running duo and Powers, and yeah.
I feel like the word on Dahlman is that he has a lot of strength, and I'm I feel like that's only coming off the fact that we're coming off of a Matt Hennessy era. And so I feel like his strength is solid. Dahlman's very adequate, but this idea that he's this road grade, I'm I don't really see it. But
his best traits is
we're gonna find out.
Yeah, we will. We will.
Do you guys miss the Matt Hennessy era at all?
No, not even a little.
I remember the Todd McClure comps when he got drafted, and I was like, nah, man, that's Peter Collins. And he couldn't dodge those allegations.
Yeah, man. What could have been, if we've had so many people, interior guys, we feel like that it's, at this point, it's whatever. I'm just happy where we are today.
It's nice to have continuity for once, right? Let's just be happy about that.
Fair enough. I was going to say something. I completely lost my train of thought.
And so we have the joint practices, and then we play Miami, we play Baltimore, and we play Jacksonville. Not that we ever get, too involved or pay too much attention to preseason, but any of those games jump out at you guys, or are you looking for a specific approach this year? This is our first Arthur Smithless preseason in a while. Preseason was always interesting because we wondered what we would see, who we would see, so on and so forth. So, what are you guys expecting in these games?
There's so many questions. It's kind of hard to narrow it down to one thing, in specific. I want to see the big picture of Jimmy Lake's vision, and I want to see the defensive line rotation with all the new talent we've brought in. I'm fascinated by the idea of where's Dorless going to line up, where's Rook going to play, how are we going to use Trice? Are we going to be as stunt heavy as I think we are? Which I don't know if we'll get too much of that in the preseason, but it's more of how are these players going to be used? I have more questions about us in specific than I do about the way we're going to deploy against our opponents, I guess you could say.
I have something that I'm going to say that I think is going to probably bother some people.
Oh, let's go.
But I think what we're going to see with Raheem and with how we're going to get insights from the media team and everything, it's going to be very rah, very Dan Quinn-esque.
Yeah.
Be preaching competition. It's going to be next man up. It's going to be so on and so forth, like that type of approach. And I don't think we're going to get a lot of X's and O's or rotational stuff things figured out personally. I think we're going to see a lot more of just camaraderie, brotherhood, competition, all those buzzwords that Dan Quinn would use. And I think we're going to see a lot of that from the preseason games.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a real blast from the past.
Which I don't think it'll be necessarily it's not a bad thing when you get results. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, everybody loved it. Everybody was saying in brotherhood, everything before,
we're bringing the hashtag back
down, but it works when you're winning. And I don't even think that Quinn's the only one like that. McVay, he does have very in-depth, you'll get a clip or two of him every season of a very in-depth, thoughtful answer, that gets it to the X's and O's. But for the most part, when you look at his stuff and everything, it's very same kind of approach in terms of positive attitude, and we're about, the team and players are making good plays and, all that kind of camaraderie, attached to it. It's just a little bit more refined than where Quinn was.
I think it also helps that with Sean McVay, that man will sit here and pull out entire drives from 10 years ago, third quarter, 88th minute, 32 seconds left, and tell you the play on the dot. It's stuff like that where it's with McVay, I think you can almost get away with his whole rah approach and not.
Well, hey, he's won a Super Bowl. It's if Quinn had won his,
if Quinn had won his,
prove you're that guy.
If Quinn won a Super Bowl, he'd still be coaching here right now.
Yeah. I actually agree with that. I think a Super Bowl buys you lifetime Falcons head coach job. I really do. I don't know if there's too many other
at
jobs.
Least 7-8 years.
We only needed one, but that's definitely all you need.
One. God bless Sean McVay, but I feel like he may be wasting his talents being a football coach.
I think he's going to be one of those. I think he's going to retire. I mean, he started so young. I would not be surprised if we don't see him take a break.
Well, remember during that down season, he was kind of contemplating retirement for a little bit. I would love to get him in the booth, man. I would love to listen to him in the booth.
I'm so excited to see him in a box one day. Monday Night Football, him in a box. It's going to be, oh God, it's going to be so good.
One more thing about the kind of approach by Raheem Morris and being a little, it's going to be a good culture change. Definitely as far as the media goes, man. Sometimes during the Arthur Smith tenure, it was there was a dark rain cloud around Flowery Branch, It's going to be nice to get some energy back in the building, some little more optimism, regardless of where that, whether that actually holds up or not. I welcome the change.
Yeah, I agree with you full-heartedly on that point. It definitely would just get really, really dark and weird.
Especially those press conferences, man. Like, what the
Dude,
hell,
especially
dude?
after losses, like it wasn't even like he was being respectful. Like, he was just pissed to be there.
Yeah, losses were
get it.
weird.
I get
Like
it,
the
but,
George Orwell
holy
speech
shit.
at times. I'm just like, no.
And it really felt like a lot of the things that were done were to spite people that were talking shit about Arthur Smith. Like he's a spiteful man.
Fantasy football.
Do we
Just
we
mentioned
played
way too many
we played
times.
Steelers.
We play Steelers week 1, first game.
Oh,
So,
Jesus.
this is what all this preseason is going to lead up to, that reunion.
Arthur Smith's about to
And
be in the Pittsburgh office for about 7 days straight. Just no sleep, scheming us up.
we'll see. Well, he's probably at the FedEx headquarters down the road. But so speaking of things after the preseason, let's get some way too early predictions baked in here before we see anything. It's always a really good idea to
way
take a
early.
stab in the dark. So we're going to go way, way, way early. And then we're going to see what these look like. We're going to do this again before or the season starts at the end of training camp. So who's the team's MVP? Who's the team's MIP, most improved player? And who's the team's rookie of the year? Kenny.
Okay. All right. I believe our offense. Wait, just MVP?
Just MVP. If you would like to do best, well, you know what? And we will add best position group. Because I could hear where you're going. So team MVP, best position group, MIP,
right.
rookie of the year.
Team MVP has got to be Jesse Bates. As far as I'm concerned, he's our best player. I don't care what scheme he sees. I believe in his talents, his production. Jesse Bates, I feel like you got to lock that up. I did want to say Drake London. I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to lie. I thought about saying Drake London because I'm expecting big things from him, but I can't say anyone else other than Jesse Bates for MVP. Do you want me to rattle the rest of them off, or do we want to?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Most improved player, I believe it'll be Arnold Ebiketie. I really do.
Oh, all right.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there are 3 things that go in his favor, and that's scheme, that's opportunity, and that's talent. And I feel like he's got a chance to tie the 3 of those together and take the next step as a player. I'm not saying he's going to be a double-digit sack artist. I'm not saying he's going to be a premier pass rusher. But I feel like this time next year, we'll be talking about him as like a plus-tier starter for the Falcons.
All right. Kenny, I'll give you a break here. Hunter, MVP, MIP.
Didn't mean to hit that. My MVP is going to be Kirk Cousins. I think our season ride or dies with Kirk, and I just think we go as far as he takes us. For better or for worse, I think that's how it's going to go. I think Jesse will be great, probably an all-pro player, but I think like into the season it's going to be Kirk as our quote MVP. Most improved, I'm going to go Bergeron. In my heart, I want to say Richie Grant because I think he might finally get the support he needs. But I'm going to go Bergeron because I'm still not that confident in Richie right now. So I'm going to go Bergeron. I think he's going to kind of pick up where he ended the season, which was good like guard play. And I think he's going to take that step further, especially the second year with Dwayne.
All right.
Trey, who do you get for those 2 spots?
Yeah, it was tough. I kind of hear both sides of the argument here. I agree with Kenny. I think Jesse Bates is easily the best player on the team. I usually glean best players MVP. Kirk might be the most important, though. But, I think I'm going to go with what Kenny actually said earlier, and I think I'm going to go with Drake London.
Love it.
As the MVP, because I actually think Drake is going to be what makes this offense go this year. Bijan's going to be special. Bijan was special last year. He'll have a couple more touchdown opportunities, but in terms of, what's the net gain that we get from this new coaching staff, I don't know how much greater it will truly be in terms of production because he still was 1,400-yard player last year. So he's very, productive player. I think if Drake London goes down, it is very scary to imagine what that wide receiver group looks like.
It's
where the running back room is deep. And, I think that what Drake basically being our legitimate outside receiver, the best one we have, almost the only one we have. I think that he is going to be, Kirk's safety blanket, the go-to guy. He's going to get, every big down for us. And Pitts is going to have his role too, but again, I don't think this offense is going to be able to function at the highest level that it can without Drake. And I am also expecting big things from Drake this year. So that's my MVP. MIP, Troy Anderson. Troy, this is it.
Good pick.
This is it, Troy. After this year, I have to leave. You have to leave. It's over after this year if we don't get it together. So Troy is my MIP because I think he knows he has to be the MIP. I think he knows that he really needs to show it because they've drafted another linebacker this year who's BFFs with Luke Kuechly. Nate Landman showed up and proved that he can play the run like Paul Woilwell. So, if you can't be, Bucky Barnes, Captain America, whatever they call you, man, this is it. I think I'm afraid that this might be it, but I think it is going to all click for Troy this year. I think he's got the athletic ability. I think it's going to all come together, and I think he's really going to hold it down and put the worries to bed. And if he does, man, it's really going to elevate the rest of the linebacker room and just let everybody play into their strengths. And that was the biggest issue last year is guys weren't able to always play into their strengths. They were out of position, being asked to do too much. So if Troy fits his spot, he's going to help everybody around him. And it's just going to help everybody else. So
I'm happy you said that. I'm really happy you said that because I think it was right before you came in, we were talking about how the development of Troy Anderson is the key towards his defense being league average or not.
I think it really is, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's what he's going to have to do in coverage because nobody else has the athleticism that he does. He's really going to need to get it down, in order for this defense to, like you guys said, be league average, at worst. Best position group, Kenny, rookie of the year.
Best position group will be the running backs. I just have that much confidence in them. I think it's our deepest position group. Bijan's going to get his this year. Tyler Algier, when called upon, will fill in admirably. And maybe Avery Williams gets some return love. We'll see if you count him as a running back. But I think running backs, that'll be our best position group for sure. Rookie of the year, when Michael Penix steps onto the field and throws for 4K yards and 30 touchdowns. No. It's tough, man. That's a tough one. I'm upset about going first on this one because we don't know where these guys are going to play or what they're going to do. I'm going to say Dorless. And I don't think he'll have a whole ton of production, but I think that, I think he'll make the most out of his snaps on this defensive line rotation. And I don't know where he's going to play yet, but I think I feel comfortable saying that he's going to give us some quality snaps out there this year, and we'll see what the numbers look like at the end. But I think Dorless, after the bye week, maybe earlier, I think he'll add a lot to this front.
I like that answer. Hunter?
I'm going to go rookie of the year first. I'm picking Trice, and I think that's going to be purely on the grounds of we'll need someone to generate a pass rush, and I think Trice can at least help enough in that to hopefully bag 4 sacks or something on the season, and we can be like, yeah, successful rookie season, rotation guy, we can hang a hat on that, kind of like what we did with Arnold Ekabetti the past 2 years. But it's like, man, or I guess last year. How old's AK?
Yeah. 2 years ago.
2 years is when he drafted, yeah.
Oh, my God, everything's blurred together with Arthur Smith. But, yeah, I think with Braylon Trice, we can at least, he'll have a decent enough year. We can hang a hat on and be like, all right, we have that going for us. Best position group, I'm going to go the tight end room.
Okay.
Kyle Pitts, I think we're going to see Kyle Pitts come back, have a relevant season, bag 1,000 yards plus, a few tutties, give himself a day. But I think Charlie Warner is going to be low-key underappreciated in the grand scheme of it all. I think he's going to probably end the season with Jacob Tamme-esque roles, just be the check down guy, kind of the safety net, be a blocker, stuff like that. And I think we're going to see him probably just make some clutch touchdowns, Lee Smith style. And I think we're going to see him just be worth the money we paid.
No John Fitzpatrick love?
Is he going to see the field? Is he going to make the actual roster?
I hope so.
Who knows?
I'd
like to say yes, but like, who knows at this point?
Fair enough. I think tight end's a really good answer. I actually think that's probably.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that at all.
Actually,
I like that.
Like, I would say the most competitive with running back there. I was just gonna say running back. I was like, yeah, it's easy, but now thinking about it, I'm like, huh. I think
it's gonna be O-line. If I didn't want to go running back, it was gonna be O-line because I do think this O-line
really
well. Yeah, I think like a year of continuity is gonna do them a lot of good, and continuity with Ledford too. I think it's gonna do them just a ton of good.
That's a big thing, retaining Ledford for sure.
Yeah, I think it feels like a reach right now, but I wouldn't be surprised at the end of this season if we didn't say the D line for the 3-4 group of who is classified as a D line could be the best group.
That would be such a long way.
I need Harrison to. I think Zach Harrison's going to have a really good year. Then Grady, Onyemata, and then if Dorless can be Rookie of the Year, like Kenny said, which is kind of what I'm, he's one of those guys that I think can be, that good of a player this year for us. Yeah. So
Rookie of the Year for us. Man. Rookie of the Year for us.
Yeah.
Oh no. That's what.
I know.
For us, not in the entire league. Definitely not. I mean, hey.
Imagine. Hey, you know what?
I'm not going to stand in your way, Brandon. but yeah, no. We just need you. If you get like 3 sacks, dog, it's yours. Like that's it, man. Yeah, I think best position group though. Going to go running back. We didn't even mention Jace, who I think is probably just going to be pretty plug and play as a third down. I don't know if he'll get rostered the first year, but it'll be interesting to see what they do.
I think he'll make roster just with
he's like
a really good special teams potential.
Generic computer generated running back too.
Chase McLean.
Yeah. Doesn't do anything extremely well. Doesn't have a whole ton of weaknesses.
That just screams, I'm going to go off in a McVay Shanahan offense. You know what I mean? It's just like this creative player.
It's Raheem Mostert
out of the sky. And then Rookie of the Year. I'm going to mention this player because he's not my vote, but I'm going to comfortably say it would be this person's vote. So this is for Fleek. Fleek is going to say Casey Washington. And so for Fleek's case, I will say that there's definitely a path for Casey Washington to play receiver this year. Like there's not much standing in the way of him being able to get reps on the outside. He's going to have to obviously earn it, but we've obviously heard a lot of positive things from the mini camp. So, hey, let's hope that he can carry that over to training camp now, and we'll see if it works out. So that's for you, Fleek. I'm going to say, yeah, man, I'm going to go Dorless as well. I think that I just think he's going to get a lot of good opportunities running some different stunts and some different things that play into his strengths. And I think because he'll get to do some things situationally, he won't have, there won't be overexposure, because I definitely think it is going to take him some time to get revved up to really be out in there for, a couple of series or drives or things like that, and not just a play or two here or there. But I do think Dorless is going to have the best, a really good opportunity to make an impact on that defensive line. So I'm going to say Dorless as well. So
Dorless is a good pick. I think he is going to do something. A little shocked to Noma said Rook, but hey, what can you say?
Hey man, I love when I'm wrong about the Falcons, because it means something went really good for the team. So so please, Rook, make me eat my words, and make us all be wrong. All of us want to be wrong so badly. So
badly.
Make it happen. Well, to wrap it up, guys, just one thing, but both of you are hoping to see by the end of camp.
All right, clean bill of health is a cop-out answer, so I can't give you that.
Yes, weak. Don't go with that.
Yeah, no. You go first, hon.
I hope we see by the end of camp I'm going to cop out a little bit and say end of preseason too. I hope we see Rook showing flashes of living up to his potential at the pick. Yeah, like I think there's stuff that he can do well and everything, and I'm just worried he's going to get overshadowed by Dorless. And so I'd like to see Rook by the end of preseason, at least like living up to his draft capital to an extent. Like carve a spot in rotation, call it a day.
Okay. It's preseason analysis, fellas. There's no cop-out answers, just so you know. Everything's valid.
What I want to see is whoever wins that cornerback 2 job, I want them to step in there the first day of camp and win and hold the job for the entire preseason. I would be so much more confident if someone can take control of the position like that. I think everyone will get their opportunities, but I need consistency during all of preseason from whoever ends up with the gig.
Yeah. I think that's my answer: is consistency, harmony. It's not going to be perfect looking. It's the preseason for a reason, but I think by the end of it, what I'm hoping to see is like this team has a plan. It looks like they've got most of what they need to run that plan, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any questions about who they are or what they're going to be in terms of a team going into this year. That's something we didn't really get that much clarity with Art. And I'm not expecting, we're going to see the entire offense or things like that, but you just really didn't know what the team's going to be like. And there was always some kind of discombobulation or something off with the process where it's like, okay, why is the QB sitting the whole time? Why is this thing happening? Why is whatever? So whatever it is, I just hope that it looks like a well thought out plan. And
I want us to look good week 1. Like the thing with Arthur Smith is like the random shit that he did during the preseason. I always feel like it backfired in week 1.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see us look good in week 1.
Well,
one real quick thing before we get off that I'm looking forward to the preseason is when Taylor Heineke comes out as quarterback 2 over Michael Pennis. I cannot wait to see the discourse for that.
God, that's gonna be
man.
Fun times ahead.
Keep your eyes on John Paddock, man. That's the Russell Wilson on this team right now.
Oh shit.
Well, Hunter, anything before you get us out of here?
Nah, man, I got nothing going on. I'm just gonna be writing and podcasting some more. Got more time in the schedule, so I'm gonna bring that back. You guys got anything cool going on? Anywhere to shout y'all? Anything cool? Trey, I know you got some big news.
Yeah.
No.
You do, Trey. You
just started working over at the Falcoholic. Y'all know where that's at. So appreciate that.
Big congrats to you, Trey, man.
That's huge.
That's awesome. You're deserving. I know we messaged each other and I congratulated you, but from one screen to another, bro. Congratulations, man.
One man to a Simpsons face. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks, fellas. No, I appreciate that. So yeah, be over there, just writing and doing the same thing. So not going anywhere either here. So still gonna be with the boys at Sporting News.
Nice. Kenny, you got anything going on? Anything different? Any life updates?
Life updates, man. Work, kids, trying to get the gym in when I can. Might have to cut back on the gym time for some NCAA football at some point. But yeah, nothing new on this end. Working on a couple pieces for Sporting News. Hoping to get those out soon, man. It's been hard to find time, but when football's here, it's football first.
Kenny is downplaying it. Kenny is going to be joining this pod a little bit more regularly. He hopes.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
no, I will be on this pod weekly from here until the Falcon season is over, whenever that may be.
Like week 4.
Hey.
Oh God, sorry, that hurts. Anyway, yeah, so we're just gonna wrap it up here. Appreciate everyone that tuned in. Follow us all on Twitter. Sorry that it's not streaming on Twitter. For some reason, we have to pay for that now, and I don't really want to pay for that. So catch us on YouTube over at the New Millennium Falcons. Y'all have a good one.